This transmission has been corrupted by Turkish Delight.
Hey YouTube, your quick 1-minute summary for everything you need to know about the Cerado. The Cerado is able to eat any rotting body, and in doing so, it gains it bacteria. You can then apply this bacteria to different dinosaurs at 20% bacteria given per bite, so a maximum of 5 to make anything in the game throw up. A charge bite comes in 3 different flavors, level 1, level 2, and level 3. These do a respective 30, 35%, and a whopping 40% bacteria given. What else has a Cerado got in its kit? Well, it's got a very, very impressive damage reduction modifier around bodies. How does this work? You might think it's about weight, but this has actually been changed. If you're a fully grown Cerado, any dinosaur that is fully grown, their body will give you the maximum 50% body buff. But be careful, this buff is only 25% reduction on the head, which means you're still taking double damage on the head, despite the buff. Furthermore, whatever growth percentage you're at, a body of the same growth percentage will give you the maximum buff. Anything that's not fully grown, or the same, anything less than your body, will only give you a 25% body buff, which therefore means that your head buff is completely non-existent. So look out for that. Overall, the Cerado is a really, really strong dinosaur, but I wouldn't say that it's broken. It does have some struggles versus Tenos and Carnos, but it can pull ahead. With a body buff, it's definitely able to hold its own, which means that competing against other dinosaurs, it is quite a major threat. I hope this is everything you guys needed to know, and I'll see you guys in the main video. Hey YouTube, this is now the more discussive part of the video, where I can talk normally for once, which is fantastic. Cerado. Let's get the elephant out of the room. Cerado's body buff, damage reduction, isn't based on weight at all. A Dryo will give you the exact same damage reduction as a Stego, or a Dino for that matter. And this number is 50%. There is no 80%. If you see people talking about 80%, it doesn't exist. I show you in the, so the idea of the 80% is that during the QA test, it did go to 80%. This was because the devs factored in bodies such as Deinosuchus. 80%, 8-ton Deinosuchus. You can now sort of start to see where the relationship was. What this meant was that you would end up with like a 12% damage reduction against, like, if you had a fellow Cerado body against a Carno. Useless. Completely useless. So the devs have obviously optimized this. They fixed it. How it works now is simple. If the dinosaur body that you have, if its growth percentage is the same as your current growth percentage or higher, then you will get a 50% damage reduction. 50% only. This does not apply for headshots. A headshot is only a 25% damage reduction. And I'm sure that you guys at home can do a little bit of clever math to figure out why that 50% then becomes a 25%, given the ×2 head modifier. I'm sure it won't take you too long. Now, what does this mean? This means that it's not weight-based for a start. It's growth-based. 100% grow, any body. This means that you have the exact same benefit for killing a Dryo as you do for, taking on a Stego body against some Utahs or Carnos. What this also means is that you could actually carry around a Dryo body if you manage to get 100% Dryo body, and then drop it during fights to get the buff. That's pretty powerful. So you could, if you really wanted to sweat out Cerado right now, is have one of your friends grow a Dryo, sacrifice the Dryo to the Cerados, and then just walk around the map. Easy peasy. This is the biggest thing right now. I'm not going to go into what I would change yet, but now let's talk about bacteria. I'm having a lot of thoughts whether or not the Cerado is broken. I don't think it's broken. I think the Cerado itself is perfectly fine. It's the bacteria that is iffy. This is because a solo Cerado, the bacteria isn't the most noticeable thing. In fact, the bacteria is what makes a solo Cerado be able to take on Tenos and Carnos. The issue is that in a group, it is easier and easier to apply the bacteria the bigger the group. And so then you can stun lock more and more dinosaurs. Right? This only works against multiple Cerados versus one dinosaur. In which case, in my opinion, it's a redundant argument. Because if you are a single Teno versus 3 Cerados, and you win, you're a ridiculously good Teno against probably your most average Cerados. If the 3 Cerados beat you, you shouldn't really be surprised. Especially if they played well. There's 3 of them, there's 1 of you. Right? If you want the Teno to be able to escape and live that situation, you're effectively asking for the Teno to be broken. So, let's talk more in depth about this. The Cerado in itself, with its bacteria, is what basically gives it the benefit of the doubt to basically take things on. You can beat Carnos and Tenos without a body buff. It is, however, extremely difficult. From all that I've seen, no. Without a buff, you get murked. It takes 2 Kano charges to kill a Cerado. This is because the Kano can crit charges at will, and I'll be talking more about that when it comes to covering Kano footage and tips and tricks. So yeah, if you want to talk about that, you can actually still curve the charge because you can tap it at the last second, and the hitbox is pretty much the same as old Kano hitbox. You can flick things and hit them in the corners of your thing. Ridiculously powerful, right? I've seen a bunch of people say that, okay, yeah, but you can beat a Kano 1v1 on a face tanking if you do charge bites. Here's the thing, like, you can do that, but if the Kano just sticks on you and keeps biting, it will out damage. Because you'd have to get a level 3 charge bite to get anything out of it. As you're just doing a level 1 charge bite. And then you have that recovery. Right? So eventually what you're saying is that if you get the Kano to vomit, you then win. But that's the thing. You have to have the steps before that as well. And even if the Kano vomits, it still has time to bite. Right? So if you're doing charge bites, it takes even longer to get the bite, but you will vomit quicker. But the Kano has more opportunity to do more damage. Right? So it's iffy. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I've had quite a lot of people put onto the video saying, I disagree with what you said. You're wrong. You can kill. I never said that. I even shown the video of me killing a stego. Yes, I had the body buff. I just tanked the tail swings because I didn't have much time and it was the simplest strategy I could find and it worked. Right? And then I killed a Kano by learning that if you stay close to the Kano so it can't charge you, you can actually break it down by trading a bite for a charge bite. Why would you face tank against a Kano? That's a stupid strategy. You want to play around it, kind of like a Utah, dodging, weaving, doing all of this. The issue of why that doesn't work with Tenno is if a Tenno misses a tail slam against you, by the time you go in to get a bite, the Tenno can tail slam you again. Then it kicks you in the face. And after doing this 3 times, so a tail slam into 2 kicks, so 6 kicks, 3 tail, you're dead. That's it. You're just dead. Unless you have a body buff. You are dead. You'll see in the video where I'll talk about this later. In the video where the challenger beats Haru, Haru missed all of his tail hits except for like 2. So what does that tell you? Well, if the Tenno misses against you and is panicky and throws out attacks, you'll win. Which is therefore like a level of skill, right? You need to be very, very patient. You need to bait out all of these attacks. But then you could then say, okay, well, if the Tenno was more patient, it would have won. As it did every other time. So what's the verdict? It's possible, but it's difficult. So what would I do to change Cerado? 1, let's talk about the body buff. Completely scrap the idea of doing it around a dead body. Just make it a flat, hard skin buff. Maybe 30%, 35% damage reduction it takes. Okay? Simple as that. Takes 35% less damage. So we can tank things. It means that you can instigate fights. Right? But then you keep the long scent. You keep the bacteria. You keep the smelling of gore for ages and vomit. You keep that. But it means that it is more of an offensive presence compared to the current mid tiers. Tenno, Kano. It can hold its own against them much better. Right? And the second thing is bacteria. It needs to be toned down, agreeably enough. While the bacteria allows the solo Cerado to actually kill the bigger things in it that do a lot more damage. Put it this way. Cerado's doing maybe like around 450 damage, around-ish. Or no, about 300 damage-ish with a level 3 charge bite. Yeah? Put it that way. The Tenno's doing that much damage with its back kick. Like, think about that. The Kano's doing way more than that damage with its charge. Especially when it hits the head. Like, yeah. Like just think a bit, empirically about it. Let's think more about this. You have to do bacteria. The issue is that groups of Cerados. It's very, very easy for a group of Cerado to vomit out things. So what would I do? It's simple. I would make it so that when you either it takes more bites to make bigger dinosaurs throw up, in which case that hurts the solo Cerado experience. However, the solo Cerado will now have what I would do, which is the body buff all the time, which means it can actually get away with this. And then it means that groups aren't as powerful, but the individual solo Cerado is stronger. You make the solo Cerado stronger, and you weaken bacteria, and this means that the groups are still powerful, and the solo is still powerful, right? And it also means you're powerful outside of just contesting bodies. Because what if there are no bodies to get? and it's just you and a Tenno in a field. Oh, good luck. Have fun dying, or just eat AI. But you should always have a chance, unless you play the perfect game of Cerado. All the Tenno just isn't good. But like if everyone played at the very, very best all of the time, then you know what I mean. I like to assume people are playing their best. That's what I've changed about Cerado. You can disagree in the comments with me. I'd like to hear you talk about them and share your ideas. Um, like give your ideas of what you would do. Do you think that Cerado is broken, or do you kind of agree with me and say that Cerado is actually very balanced? It's just groups of Ceratos and bacteria needs to be tweaked just a little bit to make things a bit better. That's all I have to say really about the Cerado. The main thing was just the fact that the buff was a lie, kind of. Peace out.